Picture this. You've negotiated the absolute perfect deal, you paid the tariff, or hey, maybe there isn't one anymore thanks to the AfCETA, and you are ready to trade. But suddenly, your goods hit a total brick wall. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to break down exactly what happens when your perfectly planned shipment gets hijacked by the system. And, more importantly, we'll show you exactly how you can fight back.
So, you've ticked every single box, right? But somehow, your truck is just sitting there. You're losing hours, maybe even days. You've got someone on the ground asking for money, and you have absolutely no idea why. It's incredibly frustrating. You followed all the rules, but it feels like the rules completely changed the second your truck hit the open road.
Okay, let's dive into what's actually happening here. What you're experiencing is known as a non-tariff barrier, or an NTB. Think of this as the invisible tax on African trade. It's a sprawling, giant maze of bureaucratic obstacles that blocks your cargo long after the official tariffs are cleared. Today, we're going to look at exactly what these barriers look like out there in the real world and give you the blueprint to dismantle them.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Gauntlet. These are the 7 costly barriers you're probably facing. Now, these barriers come in a ton of different forms, and honestly, they usually stack up one after the other. Let's walk through the absolute gauntlet a truck faces on a typical major route, like Mombasa to Kampala. Barrier number 1, police roadblocks. Between just those two cities, a single truck is going to pass through 20 to 30 checkpoints, and in almost every single one, a hand extends, demanding an unofficial payment just to let your driver pass.
Then bam! Barriers 2 and 3 hit you. Your truck rolls up to a weighbridge, and you are stuck in brutal congestion for 2 to 8 hours, sometimes way more, just waiting in line to be processed. And after that agonizing wait, you face multiple customs inspections. The exact same cargo gets inspected at the origin, again at the border, and once more at the destination, all by completely different agencies taking their sweet time.
Then we've got barrier number 4, arbitrary fees. Honestly, that's just a really polite term for an outright demand for cash. You get no official receipt, you get zero logical explanation for what the fee is actually for. It is literally just a raw demand, pay up or your truck doesn't move.
Barrier number 5 is standards duplication. Imagine this. Your product is fully certified and stamped safe in Uganda. You've got all the paperwork to prove it. But when you get to the border, Kenya or Rwanda suddenly decides they want to run their own tests. So you're forced to pay out of pocket for retesting, wasting both money and precious time, even though your goods are already proven perfectly safe.
And rounding out this absolute gauntlet, we have crippling port delays and transit bonds. You might face 5 to 10 days of container dwell time at a busy port like Mombasa, with every extra day costing you $50 to $100 in daily detention charges. Add transit bonds on top of that. That's money you pay up front to guarantee your goods won't be illegally sold into the local market. Sure, the bond is technically refundable, but getting that cash back, that can tie up your operating capital for weeks, sometimes months. So that's 7 distinct barriers, one truck, and not a single one of these is a tariff.
Moving right along to Section 2, doing the math on this massive financial drain.
Let's put some real numbers to this, because this isn't just about frustration, it is about your bottom line. Let's calculate the compounding drain here. For just one single trip from Mombasa to Kampala, the baseline cost of those unofficial payments at all those checkpoints, it adds up to about $150.
Now let's multiply that $150 by an average of 18 trips a year. That is $2,700 in direct unofficial payments per driver. But wait, it gets so much worse. Add in the lost time. We're talking about 10 days a month just idling at weighbridges and borders. At $400 a day for truck operating costs, you're looking at $4,000 a month in lost productivity per truck. Oh, and if you're operating on the volatile South Sudan corridor, checkpoint fees there can hit a staggering $200 to $800 for a single trip.
But here's the real shocker. What happens when we scale this up to the macro level? Think about the 800 trucks crossing the northern corridor every single day. The East African Business Council estimates that these non-tariff barriers are bleeding between $80 million and $150 million every single year from Uganda's corridors alone. That's astronomical.
And when you look at this comparison, it reveals the true scope of the problem. The African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCTA, is generating massive value. It's saving Uganda around $100 to $200 million a year by eliminating formal tariffs. But these NTBs are eating $80 to $150 million right back. The huge tariff savings you were promised are basically being canceled out entirely by these invisible barriers.
So,
What do we do about it? Section 3, the arsenal. Your tools to fight back.
This is where we shift gears. We're not just here to complain about the problem. We want to empower you. Real, tangible mechanisms have been built to dismantle these barriers, and your primary weapons are sitting right there in your smartphone. I'm talking about the non-tariff barrier monitoring portals. You've got the EAC portal at ntb.eac.int and the continent-wide AFCTA portal at tradebarriers.africa. These digital platforms were built specifically for you to log complaints, completely bypass the middlemen, and get top authorities involved directly.
Now, let's be totally real for a second and look at the actual numbers. Since the portal launched, over 500 barriers have been formally reported, and about 40 to 50% of those are successfully resolved within 12 months. Is it a perfect system? No, of course not. Some complex barriers take longer, and yeah, about 20 to 30% of resolved issues do end up popping back up later under some different disguise. But nearly half are permanently fixed. Every single barrier that gets resolved is one fewer obstacle that the next truck has to face. And beyond the apps, there are actual physical infrastructure upgrades speeding things up right now. We've got one-stop border posts where officials from both neighboring countries share a single building. That alone slashes crossing times by 30 to 50%. We also have the single customs territory, which means your goods are cleared once at the port of entry rather than repeatedly at every single border crossing along your route.
All right, Section 4, the battle plan. How to report a barrier in under 5 minutes.
Okay, let's get highly practical here. Grab your phone and maybe even screenshot this. Here is exactly how you log an NTB and fight back in 5 minutes flat. Step 1. Go to ntb.eac.int on your phone. Step 2. Accurately describe the barrier. What exactly happened and how much money did they demand? Step 3. Provide the precise location, the exact highway checkpoint or border station. Step 4. Identify the agency or the specific officials involved. Step 5. Hit submit. And hey, remember, you can do this completely anonymously to protect your business. Finally, Step 6, follow up with your national NTB committee, like the Ministry of Trade, just to make sure your case stays active. 6 steps, 5 minutes, every single time you hit a barrier.
Which brings us to our final point. Section 5, break the silence.
Why is doing this so absolutely crucial? Because these barriers, they thrive in the dark. They rely heavily on your silence and on the fact that every bribe is just quietly accepted as a cost of doing business. Look, as the saying goes, the system isn't perfect, but silence guarantees that nothing changes. When one trader reports, a barrier falls. When hundreds of traders report, the pressure simply becomes way too great for the bureaucracy to ignore. Reporting clears the road for you and for every single trader who comes up behind you. We've laid out the true cost of this invisible tax, and we've shown you the arsenal. The tools exist right there in your pocket. So, the really provocative question you have to ask yourself today is, will you use them? Are you going to be the one who just accepts the invisible tax, or the one who helps tear these barriers down once and for all?
The power is absolutely in your hands. If you found this explainer valuable, please help us clear African trade routes by supporting the movement. Hit that like button, leave a comment with your own border experiences, share this video with your fellow traders, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. And hey, if you need help navigating this stuff for your specific business, make sure to book your free clarity and guidance call using the link right down in the description below. Get out there, break the silence, and report every barrier